Okay, so welcome everybody to our Veterans Day Assembly. I'm Mr. LaGrange, and my leadership class worked really hard on putting this together for you to come together and honor those of us who have served us in our armed forces. So tomorrow is Veterans Day. Originally, it was created as Armistice Day to note the signing of the end of World War I. Since then, it has become, as we know it, Veterans Day. We have two military holidays in our country. In the fall, we have Veterans Day to celebrate those who serve us. And then in spring, we have Memorial Day to honor those of the armed forces who have given their lives in service to our country. So this is the first of those, and we will begin with a short word from our principal.
Hello, Legacy Lemurs. Principal Hauser coming to you from his office. While I wish we could all be together and we were all on site together, unfortunately, this is our current reality. I do want to welcome you to our Veterans Day Assembly, thanks to Mr. LaGrange and his ASB leadership students. Before we move on to the assembly, I would like to acknowledge that today we gather on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish peoples. They have lived in the Salish Sea Basin throughout the San Juans, Cascades, from time immemorial. Please join me in expressing our deepest respect and gratitude for our indigenous neighbors, the Snohomish, Snoqualmie, Skykomish peoples, and for their care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. While I am the son of a military veteran and a grandson of a military veteran, I also have several uncles who served in the military, and I'm extremely grateful for their service and what they've done for our country. At this time, I'm going to turn things over to Wyatt Pence, who will begin our assembly proceedings. Hope you are all well, stay safe, can't wait to see you again.
We're now moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance with Wyatt. Oop, hold on. It's not a school assembly if something doesn't go wrong. Repeatedly.
Thank you all for being here today. Now please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, Tiffany will sing the national anthem. We are having technical difficulties, as well as we should. Did not count on the Google Slide item coming up right over where I put the controls for audio.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose by stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night and that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, thank you, Tiffany, for that beautiful rendition of our national anthem. And now we are going to transition over to our speaker. Mr. King has graciously volunteered to speak to you today about Veterans Day and what it means to him.
Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying your Veterans Day Assembly so far. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian King. I work for Legacy High School. It's my second year there now. And your Student Leadership Council reached out to me and asked if I would mind sharing some of my experiences again, as I did last year. So I'm going to take sort of the next 10, 15 minutes and talk a little bit about them, about how being a veteran's impacted me, some of the things that I've learned. I just kind of have to apologize. I'm sorry we're in a digital format, but that's sort of just the reality of things today. I'm going to focus today on three things that are really important to me in terms of being a veteran, and I think they're really relevant to this year in particular. So they're going to be, first thing is to reshape and challenge your own perception of things in your life. The second is to approach every fight as if you're fighting for your life. And the third and final is to take control of your own outlook on things. So, since we are in a digital environment, I thought I would take advantage of this and finally use some of the several thousand photos I have over 5 deployments. So, here we go. This photo is Alpha Company. It's a 2nd Ranger Battalion out of Joint Base Lewis McChord, and this was in 2011. So this is kind of 9 years old now. The real big takeaway from this is just, this is it. This is the group that sort of goes to war with you. It's not this overwhelming force of people. It's a very small, dedicated group of people, and this is kind of all you have to rely on. And in fact, this is the entire group, and you actually end up splitting yourself into thirds and doing things separately from that. So your group actually looks something like this. This is from my last deployment. It was in the winter time. And yes, Afghanistan does get snow. And this was in 2016. This is about 4 years ago. And this is me dead center, the one and only time I had a beard in my life. And I'm showing you this picture not to really show off what's there. I want you to sort of see what isn't there. And this picture kind of always surprises people. And I think it's because in their mind, they have this perception of what it's supposed to be. They think that everyone's supposed to be, looks like, Arnold Schwarzenegger or Rambo or Russell supposed to be Captain America. And this is not the reality. We don't. And we don't because of one really important reason, and that's that willpower comes in all shapes and sizes. And look at me, this like scrawny little kid. If I can do this, then anyone can do this. And so if I can muster the courage to kind of go through something like this, then you can overcome any challenge in your life only by changing your perception of what it is that person that looks like succeeds in. And that's as simple as just eliminating that kind of self-doubt that you have. The classic, I look in the mirror and tell myself I'm no good. Because if all you fill yourself with is doubt, then you're never really going to achieve what you want in life. And that's why I'm going to challenge you, first off, to reshape your perception of things, about what succeeding looks like, about what willpower looks like. So this is what we're fighting out of. This is home, basically, as ridiculous as it looks. And there's sandbags and some walls and some makeshift tents, and for a lot of reasons, like this is home for maybe 3 months, 6, 9, up towards of 2 years, depending on the unit, depending on the war. So this is where, where you're starting from and you're ending from. This is where you're going home to every single day. So I just take that into consideration when you talk to a lot of veterans and realize the amount of time they've spent living in something looks exactly like this. We're a unit that fights only at night. So with that becomes a unique challenge. And yes, take into consideration that this is taken from an infrared, not infrared, night vision camera in 9 years ago. So it's not the greatest quality, and night vision has improved since then. But as you can see, like this is a lot more difficult than you're probably ever realized. You can see people, you can see major structures like the wall and the door here and the entrance here. But by and large, you don't see as well as you think you can, and you're relying very heavily on lasers to kind of sort of spotlight things. So I just wanted to show you this to show you just how difficult this can be in navigating in an environment like this. But you have to, because this is your advantage, and we'll get into why that's important later. So I'm going to talk about experience that in my first deployment. Okay, then this for reference. So this is 2011, and I'm about a week into things. So I've gone out, I think 5 nights. I think I had 5 nights or so, then one off. And about to go out the next night. And at this point, I've slept well, and I'm way overconfident. And I heard the mission brief and said we're going to be in and out of there in like 2 hours. We're going to land, walking like a kilometer, get bad guy, get back on an airplane, and come back. Simple. So everyone was bringing bare minimum, not a lot, wasn't too concerned about it. And I just sort of went along because I felt that sort of false confidence and that arrogance in my life, unfortunately. And then things didn't really go to plan at all. That 1K somehow was a issue with landing and getting there, so that turned into eventually about 10. And then we got there and got into fought our way through several firefights, calling in air assault attacks to kind of get us through everything. And then on our way out of it, our aircraft got hit by something and went down with us in it. No one was hurt really, somehow, after crawled out of it. But when this happened, I didn't really feel confident anymore. That arrogance sort of slipped away, and I realized that it was going to be a long night, probably into the day, and I was basically almost out of water. Half my ammo was gone. Should have brought a lot more, and here I am stuck in the middle of the desert in a bad situation. And that's why the takeaway, like learn from my mistake, basically, and come to every fight as if you're fighting for your life. And I totally understand that this is not the reality for most people to be in a situation like this. But what we sort of gloss over is the fact that we always fight for something. You're probably fighting for something within your life right now and don't even really acknowledge it. So it never hurts to be prepared for the worst in your life. Overkill is not overrated, basically. And that was one of the most important elements of things that I learned being in that environment. And I never in my life made that mistake again. And even in my daily life now, I never make the mistake of showing up to any situation where I could possibly be underprepared for something that was going to happen in the moment or a dynamic change of some regard. So this went from bad to worse, and we basically ended up having to fight our way back down through this narrow valley, this pass, to the only place we basically had to walk home essentially. We couldn't land anywhere, wasn't safe to. So we kept going, and at one point, I'm out of water. I have 100 pounds on me. I weigh 305 basically on a scale, and my legs are buckling. I'm just exhausted, and I'm taking the knee, and I'm just complaining. I'm letting it get to me, unfortunately. And my boss comes around to me and just looks at me and says, "When you're done feeling sorry for yourself, we have things to do." And it was an alarmingly simple statement that he made to me, but the gravity of it is actually something sort of really stuck with me. And that's sort of my third point, like take control of the outlook that you have over your current situation. Like my feelings on the matter didn't change reality. The fact that I was tired didn't stop it from happening. The fact that I was, sick of it and wanted to go home didn't make it go away. It was there whether or not I was happy with it being there. And that's very much relevant to a lot of experiences we were going through this year. No one's happy about a lot of things that are happening this year, but your mentality doesn't change the fact that it's real and that it's intertwined to your daily life. It's intertwined to all of our lives. So I look at it in the same way of someone being imprisoned, you know. What gets them through it and what makes their experience probably a lot easier is that hope that they keep hang on to as they imagine their life when there's going to be freedom. They don't sit there talking every day about how hard it is to be in prison and how difficult it is and how sad they are. Instead, they try and find the good in their days, like I am today. Um, is this ideal? No, not by a long shot. But you know what? This allows me to actually share these photos with you, which is something that I wouldn't be able to do if I was walking around the auditorium talking about my experiences. So take control of it, right? Don't let this year beat you. Basically, you are the only one that controls your outlook on things. No one else is. So you have the ability to control that and to make that change in your life if you want to. Okay, last slide. So I know there's a big Navy audience in this, especially with like JROTC. So I thought I would include one of your own. This was a great friend of mine. Basically, so he is in, or was in, I've been talking to him a long time, Navy EOD. For anyone who's unaware, that's arguably the best in the world at what they do. And I mean, I can personally vouch for the fact that I would not be here today if it wasn't for the actions of this individual. Unbelievably well-trained individual. And the reason I'm putting this isn't just to say hi to the Navy for you, but it really sort of drive home a point that, you know, this year has been very dividing for a lot of people. And we're either on one side or the other, or we think there's the right policy or wrong policy, when in fact we all ultimately want the same thing, and that's just for life to return to normal, for us to have a future, for us to be optimistic about the future. And overseas, that's sort of a lesson that you learn very early on, is that, you know, people are talking about which branch is better and which people are more elite and everything else. And the reality is that over there, it doesn't matter. You'll be out there with the Army and the Marines and the Navy and the Air Force, and everyone there wants the same thing. And when it boils down, a lot of these differences that we think matter don't actually matter at all. So I hope you can kind of take something from that, as I did, because I learned a lot about working with other people than I did far more working with myself. So I hope that some of that was kind of helpful and resonates with you in a certain way. What I'm going to leave you with is the hope that this sort of conversation doesn't end with me. That, you know, you realize there are 17 million vets in the United States, all who have unique stories and experiences and probably pictures and things that they can share with you and that you can learn from them. So perhaps on Veterans Day, you know, maybe go out there and learn from them and learn from their experiences and their hardships and their triumphs, because it's a unique chance for someone to gain a perspective into a world they know basically nothing about. Well, thank you for listening. Thanks for taking the time to spend with me today. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys around, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. King, for sharing with us. That was a wonderful message. At this time, we have prepared for you a tribute to our local veterans. The music is provided by the Navy Jazz Band playing the military medley. Whoop.
Hi, everyone.
There we go. Music and montage. This portion is the World War II honor flight, where we flew people from Seattle to the War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Okay, that was a tribute to our veterans. I apologize that the second song didn't trigger, but silence was also very beautiful. And now to end our fun together.
Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to remember and
Don't you dare.
Thank you all for taking the time out of your day to remember and honor the brave men and women who fought for our country. They all deserve to be thanked and appreciated for their service. They have given us security and the ability to be comfortable in this great nation of America. There is no way we could ever thank them enough for their service. It is impossible to put a price on that kind of selfless service. We must be thankful, not just today, but always. On Veterans Day, go thank a member of our armed forces for their service. Thank you again for attending, and thank you to our veterans for your service. God bless you, God bless our veterans, and God bless America.
This concludes our Veterans Day Assembly. Thank you so much for spending your time with us this morning. I wish you a wonderful day off tomorrow And as Wyatt suggested, please take time to think of it. Goodbye now.